At what point did you decide I'm running and I'm running for the UCP?
Well, I've always been fairly conservative in my political views, and going through the last 3 years with the NDP was always something that was on my mind, but it was a very long, thought-out decision that I made. I'd been thinking about it heavily for the last year, and after talking with my family and my friends and my colleagues, we decided that it was the right time and the right thing for me to do about 6 months ago.
So let's say, and I want to touch on why now. So is it because it was just the right time for you? Is it because of the different party branding, or is it because of the leader? Take me through that.
Well, definitely because of the party. That's a major factor. I appreciated that Jason Kenney was able to bring together the Progressive Conservatives and the Wild Rose to join a new party, and his vision for bringing forward a grassroots movement that really takes into consideration the needs of Albertans, that appealed to me absolutely.
All right, so let's sort of pivot to priorities here. Obviously, if we go right on the homepage of your website, it has a few things there. So, community engagement is the first one. Is that more so a policy, or is it I guess a formation of policy?
I would say that that's more of a formation of policy. I have my value systems and my belief systems, and obviously I'm in line with the conservative policies that are there. But what I'm trying to do is take those values and those beliefs and then also educate myself with what the community is looking for. What I've seen in the political landscape over the last number of years is that sometimes it appears that government doesn't consult enough with people before they put a policy into place. And so every conversation I've had throughout my career, it's always been, we need more consultation, we need more engagement from the government. And so that's how I want to shape my candidacy and my platform, is through extensive consultation and getting to know the needs of Lethbridge residents.
Based on what I read, it seems like you believe in the expansion of growth in the private sector and in the public. Like, whereas other conservatives might say, let's shrink the public sector. Would you sort of have a response to that?
I don't believe I advocate for growth in the public sector by any stretch of the imagination. What I believe in is a strong private sector, strong economic growth, and incentive for private business to come into the area, because I believe that if we have a strong economy and strong business sector, that is what generates the support for all of our social programs.
Is government too big right now?
In some areas, I think the government is too big. I believe that government should be in place for areas where the private sector can't compete, or there isn't a way for the private sector to handle those areas, and then that's where the government should jump in, absolutely.
Do you mind giving me some examples of that?
That came to light a lot in my previous role with the Canadian Home Builders Association. Oftentimes you would see the government competing directly with private industry in areas, such as land development, for one example, where there was ample competition in the private sector. The public sector also plays a role in that, and that might not be necessary in a lot of cases.
Do you bring the perspective of a business owner?
Are you asking if I am a business owner?
Or are you, or have you been?
I had a small business number of years ago, a little photography business, but what I know in business is that I've been involved in it my entire life. So every career that I've ever held, or every job that I've ever undertaken, has been about business development. And when I was with the Canadian Home Builders Association, that organization was there specifically for the residential construction industry and all the subsidiary businesses. So I very much had a hand in understanding what's going on in the business community, the struggles that those organizations have, and the barriers that they face to competitiveness in the market, and what that actually does to the growth and the sustainability of a community when there's too much interference in for-profit business.
And I apologize if over the course of this I make you repeat yourself.
That's okay.
Like I said, it's just about getting as much information as possible. So I guess in terms of advancing business and advancing the economy, is the biggest priority, in your opinion, for doing that, like lower taxes, or is that not it, or is there more to that?
Lower taxes is a component. The taxes did go up for small businesses and large businesses, I guess, businesses in general. And what that does is that doesn't necessarily allow organizations and companies to increase their prices or anything like that. It ends up taking money out of their bottom line, which in fact ends up hurting everybody in the long run because it's a trickle-down effect. The less money that a business has to invest in other areas of the city or other purchases in the city affects those businesses and those employees and so on.
Now, I'm gonna pivot a little bit to sort of non-business taxation, and then we're gonna go into sort of, I guess, more like family education, social policies.
Okay.
So I guess looking at stuff like well, the minimum wage and carbon tax, I mean, are those also areas in which government's doing too much?
When it comes to the carbon tax, I disagree with it 100%. I believe that Alberta's energy sector is the most top-notch when it comes to environmental standards when you're looking at other areas of the world that also do energy extraction. And it's just punishing businesses that are otherwise investing in renewable energy. To put this tax in place is just giving businesses incentive to go to other areas where restrictions are less when it comes to that type of tax.
And I do want to touch quickly on, of course, energy, because that's mentioned on your site as well. How would you like to pursue renewable energy? Is that a high priority for you?
The environment, I believe, is a high priority for everybody. I don't think anybody intentionally sets out to do harm to the environment because we know our children and our grandchildren are going to have to live here, and we want to protect that. But it needs to be done in an economically responsible fashion. So to just cut off non-renewable energy doesn't work. There has to be a transition from non-renewable energy to renewable energy. So I fully advocate that the research continues on renewable energy and how to fully sustain that, while also giving support to the people who work in the non-renewable energy sector, and some sort of a way for them to transition over so that families aren't losing out on their employment and their quality of life.
So I mean, you're in no way against really the current use of fossil fuels, I guess.
I'm not against the use of fossil fuels as long as it's done responsibly and with regard to environmental protections and in an economical way.
Now, pivoting to more so education, what is happening maybe with the current government in that area that you would like to change?
When it comes to education, I am a mother, so I have a son who's in elementary school right now, and it is something that I think about on a regular basis, and I follow it. I believe that education should be based in fact, and it should not have any political tendencies or political ideologies embedded in the curriculum. And I also believe that education and what is being put into the curriculum should be brought about in a very collaborative, consultative fashion. So there should be lots of stakeholder engagement in a number of areas to ensure that what we're teaching our children is in fact the best for our children.
What is the role of the education system, and then at what point does it sort of overstep to where it's then taking on the responsibility of parents?
Oh, okay. In my view, the role of the education system is to teach our children fact, exact, detailed history, the way it happened, and the government should not get involved to subscribe to one particular political ideology or another. I believe that it is the parents' role to guide their children in their own family values and belief systems.
Are there beliefs that you have about family in terms of I guess maybe the way a traditional family setup is better or not, that that's on your mind as you pursue a government elected position?
When it comes to family, I believe that the family unit is the most important component. If you have a solid, loving, caring, supportive family, however that makeup is or whatever that makeup looks like, as long as children are feeling supported and empowered to be who they truly want to be in their heart, that will result in a good relationship while they grow up and a productive and well-rounded adult.
We've got 3 people in this race. Why are you the best one?
I feel that I'm the best candidate for this race because I bring a lot of diversity and a lot of history and a lot of experience. So my background is not one note. I have been involved in for-profit business development in both large and small organizations. I've worked in the healthcare industry, so I understand deeply the complexities that our healthcare system faces. I've also been a part of for-profit organizations, business organizations, lots of time spent in the government, both municipally, provincially, and even federally, as well as working in the public sector too. So I've seen a lot of different components to how the economy works and what the challenges are that we're facing in all of these different areas, and as well my community involvement. So I sit on a number of committees and boards for both for-profit and not-for-profit organizations, past, present, and hopefully in the future as well. And just being a mother and being a woman, I just bring a different perspective to the game. And I feel that I'm very well-rounded and, again, very engaged and willing to listen. And I think that that's the most important component, is really taking back, actively listening to the concerns that Lethbridge has, because they're complex and they are not just one note, and they deserve a lot of consideration. My focus is to make sure that Lethbridge citizens' voice is heard and it's not shadowed by the larger cities.